What's good, Whisper Nation? We are live right here from our League of Record, Told Draft, and we're doing a live show here. We're going to be doing the news and nuggets, the latest around the NFL. So we're together. If you can't tell, on the same screen. We are together for the show. Really excited for it. We're going to be doing the latest news and notes from around the NFL, talking some cuts, some latest things that you need to know if you're getting into your draft this weekend. What you're going to want to know for that draft. So stick around right here on Fantasy Whispers.
Right here.
Johnny, we're in Flagstaff right now.
We're in Flag, dude.
Where it all began.
Hey, hence shout out to why we had to stream just a little bit late. We got on here a little late because nature, man.
Thank you for bearing with us,
Yeah.
Whisper Nation. We have been dealing with some studio difficulties, if you will, getting it started, but we're here, we're ready. We've got our draft board that we're going to be using for our League of Records draft tomorrow. It's our 11-year anniversary, and we're back in Flagstaff, Arizona, as Johnny said, where it all began 11 years ago.
Where it all began, dude.
Yeah.
It all began.
Yeah, but jumping into the section here, that's right. Johnny said we'll be taking some news and notes from around the NFL training camps today. But if you like that fresh fantasy football content and want more of it, just consider subscribing and liking to our YouTube channel, as well as our other social media platforms. Giving this video a like on your way in or way out. That being said, welcome in, Whisper Nation. I am Austin Sear. This is Johnny Game Time Hicks. You can follow him on Twitter at Johnny_Game Time. How does it feel to be out in this cooler weather compared to Phoenix?
Dude, it is so nice. Like, we got in here yesterday and it was raining.
Yeah.
And I won't lie. At first, I was a little bummed because we've gotten a lot of rain in Arizona the last few days. So
Second records.
Yeah. So I was a little bummed. I wanted the nice weather. I want to play some cornhole outside. But today, we've been blessed with a gorgeous, gorgeous outside weather in Flagstaff. So really excited to be out of the heat. Really excited to talk football.
Yeah.
Be with people we love. It
doesn't get
much better.
Blessed with weather and blessed, hopefully, with a great fantasy football draft, both for us and for you as well, Whisper Nation. And just a reminder to our listeners that the Fantasy Whispers draft kit is still available if you have any drafts between now and the kickoff, NFL season kickoff on Thursday. Make sure you pick that up for an industry-leading $15. It's a great deal, giving you all different types of breakdowns, as well as my favorite part that Game Time worked in here, the consistency rankings from previous offensive coordinators. Industry unique, and I think it is a key moving forward to separate yourself from the rest of your league mates.
Absolutely. It's
All right.
a great draft kit. A lot of people got it. A lot of our league mates got it too. So all my secrets are out. They're out in the wilderness.
That's
out in
it.
Flagstaff's wilderness, dude.
And there's no way that you just started a fantasy football podcast, build it up for 4 years just so you could get the consensus support of your league to then take your notes. And then you've been really doing smoke screen the entire time.
Smoke screen. We like a lot of smoke screens around here. We talk to smoke screens, but we do not reveal those smoke screens. We're trying to do that to you, Whisper Nation. We want to win you that championship. So like Austin said at the top of the show, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Trying to get to 2K, Austin. We were very close.
Yeah.
We're at like almost 1850 now.
Yeah.
So we're hoping.
Whisper Nation's growing.
We can get to 2K before the start of the NFL season. We'll be diamond hands on the moon, dude.
I love Johnny's ambition. I absolutely love that and love drafting and listening and going through the season with you all year long, Whisper Nation. So let's jump into it here. Irv Smith gets surgery and is done for the season. Popular tight end pickup for a lot of folks, Johnny.
Yeah, for a lot of folks, but not me.
Not for you. No.
I was not ever on the Irv Smith, hype train. Looking at the market share he was going to get, probably about that 14%. We talked about 12 to 14% for most tight ends. That's what I was predicting there. One keynote I do want to bring up. Obviously Chris Herndon. Hype train is revamped up now.
Just traded for him.
They just traded for him. So now people are taking that love for Irv Smith and putting it on Chris Herndon, hoping he can turn it around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still am skeptical. The thing I do want to note, though, is Justin Jefferson now is going to move up my board just a little bit.
Okay.
Because you look at what he's got to, before he was competing with Irv Smith, you've got Adam Thielen, who's getting older. And then you had Justin Jefferson, no real third wide receiver there.
Yep.
And Dalvin Cook was going to definitely be heavily involved. We know that. But now with Irv Smith going out, talking about, Chris Herndon coming over potentially slower to pick up that playbook and be involved right away, I think, especially with the early season schedule that the Minnesota Vikings have, I think that Justin Jefferson is going to explode in the beginning, and he is going to actually, return the value of where you're drafting him. I was a little skeptical at first on it, but based on this injury, the news and the lack of wide receiver depth, I think Justin's going to repeat.
And you had a great stat here on Justin Jefferson, who led the NFL in yards per route run versus man coverage. Looks like he's going to be picking up where he left off. Same is not going to be the case. Well, actually, maybe kind of will be for T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
Who's going to miss the first 3 games at least. He's going to start that season on the IR.
Neck injury.
Yeah.
Not good.
No. One of those weird ones, too, that seems like it could persist.
Yeah.
Any influence here for Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell, Michael Pittman? Anybody else get a bump for you?
Slight bump for Michael Pittman for me because I do think that he'll take that number 1. I'm always interested in Paris Campbell.
Yeah, I know.
Paris Campbell is one of those guys. It's like I can't give up the dying love and the hope that he could be.
He's so explosive.
He's so explosive. And when he's on the field, he's so explosive and really fun to watch.
All 4 games we've gotten to see him, and he's been great.
Slot wide receiver for Carson Wentz. So, I would like to say potentially Paris Campbell uptick here, but again, there's risk. There's a lot of risk there. So I don't know if I'm necessarily drafting him, but overall, probably Justin Jefferson and Cook are the 2 I'm looking at in this offense.
Or that's in Minnesota. You said Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson in that offense.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. We moved on to T.Y. Hilton.
I know, but the Vikings are pretty excited. I'm excited for them as well. And the speaking of people moving into different spots, Gardner Minshew was traded to the Eagles for a conditional 6th-round pick. Jalen Hurts was named the starter. Gardner Minshew, though, is looking like a solid backup option. Do you think he has any poses any threat to Jalen Hurts?
I don't. I think this was they obviously knew if you watched any of those Philadelphia Eagle preseason games, like Joe Flacco is not the answer. Joe Flacco is never going to be the answer.
Is Joe Flacco elite?
No, not anymore. Maybe he was once upon a time for a moment or two, but I don't think that he's any hindrance on Hurts. We will dive a little bit into Hurts. Give you a little bit more insight later on in the show. We have a little segment for Hurts, but I just think it's that piece. Good for Gardner, though.
Yeah, keeping around, staying around. I'm excited to see what happens. I think Philly could be a nice destination for him.
Yeah.
Jacksonville then to Philly, it seems to fit his type of brand and narrative as well. I want to give a quick shout out to Whisper Nation here. We got some folks in the chats here. It's great to have you with us, BGW.
Appreciate you guys.
What's up, boys? What's going on with you? And a couple of questions that came up. If you have any of those questions, let us know. Jump to those ones pretty quickly here. Jay Kirchville says, Brandon Cooks or Chase Claypool?
I'm going to go Chase Claypool.
I like that upside.
Yeah. And the quarterback situation is a little bit more safe.
Yep. Rendon Dye, what's up, broski? What's up with you, man? Got a 2-quarterback league, 10-team PPR draft tonight. What's your strategy? I mean, I'd like to know where you're drafting from.
Yeah.
Rendon as well. What position are you in that spot where you're thinking about a Patrick Mahomes or a Christian McCaffrey, or are you more at the backside of your draft where you have some other types of players that are likely available?
I would generally, in general, I'd probably say have at least one early quarterback. You don't want to get too far down the boat and then, realize that you missed out on a lot of talent, because other players will fall. And I know it's nice to take those values, especially at those other skill positions early when people are going with the quarterback. I just like getting that anchor. We call it, our anchor strategy and getting that anchor quarterback and then building your roster off of that.
Yeah, I really like that. The only thing I would advise against is not taking an available quarterback that really isn't in the tier of the quarterback who was just taking the pick before you. Like if somebody right before you takes Kyler Murray, don't think Justin Herbert is going to be a clean fill-in. Maybe it will be, but for me, I would then take a positional player if you don't get that shiny quarterback. But if you got a shiny quarterback, I like that anchor strategy there.
And in a 10-team league, 2 quarterbacks are going to, even if
that's right. That's right. Great point.
2 quarterbacks, we were talking about quarterback situations this morning. And it's like your second quarterback could be like Tua or Matt Ryan or even Baker Mayfield.
A lot of good ones.
A lot of good ones. So it's like, not great. You're never like, if you're in a 1 quarterback league and that's your option, you're not like, oh, I'm ecstatic over this. But as your 2,
yeah.
Right.
Speaking of number 2 quarterbacks, Trey Lance has a small chip in his finger. It's only expected to miss about a week. Any concern? Does this shift any of your projections for that quarterbacking situation in San Francisco?
It just reaffirms for me, and I brought this up on the last show, that I expect Fields to be the rookie quarterback of the year. I think this kind of sets Lance back a little bit as far as, getting all those reps and things like that and potential to start the season, right? But I don't think this is a long-term serious injury. I don't think it's something we have to really worry about long-term. I just think it hurts him in the beginning of the season, which is okay because you're not really drafting him right now to start that season off. You're drafting him for the potential upside down the road.
Just like the 49ers. They didn't draft him to start the year, but he is the future, fantasy and NFL translating. But someone who is looking like it's going to be a more long-term injury is Tariq Cohen. He is now on the reserve, physically unable to perform list. So he's out for at least the first 6 games, Johnny. What does this mean for David Montgomery?
I don't really like to, celebrate injuries for players.
Never.
But I will say I'm pretty glad this is happening.
I know you got David Montgomery on the Dynasty squad, too.
I do have Tariq as well to back him up as a handcuff, but I needed the roster spot, and I didn't want to have to cut Cohen. Sliding him in that pup, very, very nice. That IR spot, very nice. But I also think it lifts up the ceiling to David Montgomery, right?
Oh, yeah.
So much of the offseason that we talked about when we talked about David Montgomery was Tariq Cohen coming in and taking that pass-catching work away from David Montgomery.
Which helped him be a top 5 running back.
Correct. And I think that is now back on the table, at least until Cohen gets back. And the thing is he's a good pass catcher.
Yeah.
And so I do think that there is a reality where David Montgomery continues to get better. And once Cohen comes back, he's even eased in at that point. And so I really do think that this is a moment where David Montgomery should move up in your own personal rankings. You should be more excited for the outlook of David Montgomery season long because of this move.
I know I certainly am. And if you're enjoying what you're listening to right now, consider hitting us with a like and a subscribe on our main YouTube channel. And go ahead and follow on Twitter to catch a lot of great content, links to upcoming shows, mock drafts, things like that we do both during the season and during the off season. And Whisper Nation, those of you who are joining us, it's so great to have you in here. Calvin G. Brown jumping in. Love the setting. #outdoors. This is we're in Flagstaff, Arizona, where our league of record all began 11 years ago. So we're drafting this weekend. We got our league of record enjoying some breakfast off to the side over here. Great to be in the outdoors over here. A couple of questions before we jump over to the next segment I want to get to here in Whisper Nation.
Boy, Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi's here. What's up? Gus Ramos is in the house.
Gus Buzz.
Staying on the Montgomery train here, Cash's stylist asks, should I trade Dave Montgomery and Julio for Austin Eckler? Julio on my bench.
I would.
Is this a full point PPR? Maybe, but
I'll tell you why I wouldn't. Because I love me some Austin Eckler this year. I do, admittedly so. I think he's going to be a phenomenal running back this year in fantasy. But the difference to me between Eckler and David Montgomery is not the difference of Julio Jones to me.
Yeah,
it's minimal. And so, like, I believe I have David Montgomery as like a just outside or just at the end of that RB1 kind of range. And Eckler, obviously, mid RB1 for me in my rankings.
Yeah.
But Julio has that potential. Of course, he's injury prone. We talked about how we're not super high on him. But I wouldn't make that move. I just think you're giving up too much.
Yeah, he comes in, Cash clarifies, full PPR. Before the Tariq Cohen news that we just announced, I would have said, maybe. And if Eckler's your dude, go out and get him.
Yeah.
With this Tariq Cohen news, I'm upping David Montgomery, and he was a top 5 running back last year. The line was bad then. It's still bad now, but I like it. I love the way you frame that, Johnny. There is a difference between Eckler and Montgomery, but it's not worth Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Couple more questions here. Oh, Gus Ramos in the house. What's up, guys? What's up, Gus Bus? He asks, who can I get if I trade Swift? I have Javonte Williams, Derrick Henry, Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon, Ramondre Stevenson. It's a pretty good running back situation you got there, especially building for the future on there with A.J. Dillon, Stevenson, Javonte Williams. If I'm looking to trade Swift, I would consider why. It's a good player you can put with Derrick Henry right now, and you have some of those depth pieces coming in behind him. If you were to trade him, given the running back situation Gus has right now, Johnny, who do you think would be a good person to help round out his running back roles getting rid of Swift?
I love this question because we get to answer 2 things in one. The first thing is, I can't give you a running back target to go after because it varies for all players, right? So what we advise is if you are looking to trade a running back, find a team, and you're going to look on their team for a team that has a void at running back. They need running back, and they might actually have like more wide receivers or a better tight end, something like that. That's where I would go, and I would start looking at their roster, seeing who is the best piece that you could potentially get back for DeAndre Swift in that sense. That's the easiest way to get a trade done, as opposed to saying, hey, go try to trade for, I almost said Cook, but you're not going to, like Gibson, right? Like I said, go out and try to trade for Gibson, but the Gibson person who drafted him is probably not likely going to be okay getting Swift and another player or something. They're probably going to be like, no, I'm going to stick to Gibson. I draft him. So I like I said, I would go and target a team that is deficit at the running back position. You're more likely to be able to move them quicker and get a better value. But also at the same time, I want to pump the brakes on trading, especially with that. I do get Stevenson's hype right now, but I don't expect him to have a massive workload this year. And I do think that if you trade Swift right now, you're trading Swift at a low point. You want to try to trade players at their high point. Right now is not a high point for Swift. He will have really good games this year. And then if you're still not confident in that, I would trade him after that fact. But I don't think you would get a full value for DeAndre Swift right now.
Yeah, and I would also consider, since your running backs are pretty solid, take a look at some wide receiver areas that you might be able to make an impact in. Gus, if you have some need at the wide receiver position, you could get a really nice haul for trading out a high ceiling player like a DeAndre Swift. Happy to go into more detail on some of those ones. But I like what Johnny said here about Swift. Swift has got such a high ceiling coming into this year. I like what he's about, but hey, if you could find somebody who's more excited about Swift and you can get a premium on him, why not?
Yeah.
On that. Moving on here, just some of the questions here. PPR question here on Cole Pierce, 10-team PPR, Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Swift, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Darren Waller, Juju, or Darrell Henderson, Steelers D. Any thoughts? Is this on who you should trade or who you should start?
Yeah, if you're asking about your roster in general, that's
Looking
a very solid roster.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. I like it. If you're asking who you should start, we always advise people. We do a Sunday morning lineup show every Sunday morning before kickoff. Join us then and ask us lineup questions. We'll get you all set and ready to go based on the matchups. We haven't dove too much into the week 1 matchups quite yet. We'll start doing that early next week.
I'm just closing this one up. Yes, make sure you like and subscribe so you can catch those notifications coming your way. And a lot of fun, community engaging content. Yep. Gus clarified, I've got Jefferson, Lockett, and Judy for wide receiver. Not bad, but you do have a little bit of room where you could upgrade that if you wanted to get rid of Swift. I mean, heck, you could even package Swift and one of these other 3 wide receivers together for an elite stash if you wanted to go that way. Get yourself Devontae or Stephon.
Yeah, if I'm going to do that, it would be Swift and Lockett.
Yeah,
because Lockett's value is like just goes up. It's like Bitcoin, dude. It's like you don't even understand it. You're like, this doesn't make any sense, but it just keeps going. And that's how Lockett's hype train is going right now. So if I'm trading one of those, and I do believe in Judy, I do believe in Jefferson, like we talked about on the top of the show. So that's where I would, if I'm pairing a wide receiver with Swift to trade out, it would be with Lockett.
I agree. That's my keep trade cut. Lockett is the one I'm trying to move on. And speaking of Manscaped, Mr. Miyagi coming in saying Manscaped must be paying out that advertisement in Bitcoin. It's a bougie setup on this one. Now, we love our partner here in Manscaped. You can go ahead and get 20% off any Manscaped order by using the promo code TFWMAN. That's TFWMAN for 20% off plus free shipping on any Manscaped order. It's a phenomenal product. We got our packages from them and then fixed our packages with the contents of their packages. And my entire package is working out really well right now. Hopefully your fantasy teams.
All clean and like discreet packaging too. So
yeah,
it was all good.
It was all good. Darius Rice joining the show. What's going on, Darius? Whisper Nation strong. And Gus, enjoyed your perspective. Thanks for the help. Thanks for tuning in, man. We're here all year long. Join the Sunday show. Keep these questions coming all season long. We are more than happy to engage with them. Moving throughout some of the notes, Johnny.
Yeah, this is going to be a major Zach Wilson hype train party right now.
Tony Romo, he just went all in on your boy. I don't know if he's actually your boy on this one.
I do like him, but he's not my boy.
He's not your boy, right? Tony Romo just said it's not going to be long before the young quarterback is a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the NFL. Said he has Mahomes potential. And also Tony Romo added, I think Zach Wilson is going to turn the Jets around. Zach Wilson preseason passer rating among rookie quarterbacks, Johnny, under pressure, 94.4, ranks first. Clean pocket, 147.3. Also ranks first. He's a rookie in name only, says Greg Van Rotten on Zach Wilson.
Pick him up. No, I mean, here's the thing. We have talked about Zach. I mean, we talked about him more so around the draft. We were pretty hyped. We thought he was the best quarterback coming out. And then it's just because it's one of those things, the narratives of teams really hinder us aiming for that upside. And Zach Wilson is one of those guys because we know, he plays for the Jets. Jets haven't been good. They haven't had a good quarterback in a long time. We're expecting the same kind of thing. And I do think that based on what I've seen in preseason, Zach Wilson looks good. Now, once again, he is a rookie quarterback, and there's a lot of injuries going on right now in that offense. Elijah Moore dealing with some banged up issues. You've also got Denzel Mims dealing with some injuries. And it is the Jets. Let's be honest. But here's what I'll say. There will be games in which we'll advise you on waiver wire column stuff. Zach Wilson's going to be a good play this week. We'll let you know on those games. I don't know that I'm necessarily drafting him right now unless it's dynasty. But I do think that the future is. I do think this is a very real possibility. Where in 3 years, Zach Wilson is one of the better quarterbacks that we are drafting.
Yeah. Strong draft class from quarterbacks. It's kind of tough to differentiate right now with so many who have such great qualities of upside. Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, of course, Fields. Zach Wilson, Fields. My goodness. We'll see how it pans out in a few years.
The NFL could be in good hands.
It could be in good hands. I like where it's trending. Only time really will tell. Speaking of time will tell, about Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, as the reports are that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross really wants Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. He's got Tua. People always want
and a lot of
what they can't have.
Parlors in Florida.
Yeah.
Sorry.
lighter on the rules over there too.
Yeah, but I get it. I get the aspect from wanting a phenomenal player because Deshaun Watson on the field is a phenomenal player. Puts up mad points. Puts up great stats. One of the most accurate quarterbacks we have in the league, which I was a little surprised on that when I looked up those stats. But I just think if you've got Tua, and I'm not saying Tua is going to be on the same level as Deshaun.
Right. But he's good.
And
it could be, and he's his own type of player.
Yeah. And I just think that it's just wild to me. What 2 years makes, the difference of 2 years. Because think about this. 2 years ago, before Tua went down with that injury, he was by far and away the best quarterback prospect that we had not only seen that year or projected to be number one, but in a while. He was the most locked and loaded, sure thing at quarterback that we've seen in a minute. And then in 2 years now, his name has been dragged up a lot in trade conversations. You got, obviously them wanting to go out and get Deshaun and the cost of what that would be in order to do that. I just think it's a little wild to me that teams are that excited over getting Deshaun Watson compared to what they might have. And the two teams I'm talking about are the Eagles and the Dolphins. Both have very high upside quarterbacks, and yet they're still trying to get that final piece. And I just don't know if it's that's the piece that they're trying to
Yeah. And you always I like my team always looking, and there's never a wrong time to upgrade. You just want to make sure you don't rock the boat so hard you lose the cargo.
Yeah, exactly. No, that well said.
Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles rookie running back Kenneth Gainwell is really carving out a significant role for himself the reports are coming out of camp. You've talked a lot about this Eagles backfield and how you expect it to be a three-headed monster. How do you see Kenneth Gainwell factoring in?
So I do think Kenneth Gainwell will take away some of those third down running shares.
Yeah.
I do think that Boston Scott is also going to be involved in this. We talked about it. We were talking about this before on the pre-show. Miles Sanders and what our true value of Miles Sanders is, because it's like Miles Sanders where he's fallen in drafts, it's almost to a point where you're like, all right, like
I'm stoked if he falls. There's no way in hell I'm reaching.
Right. And because here's the real reality of it is that Miles Sanders, we talked about Jonathan Taylor, top first round pick. This offense is going to be very similar to the one that was ran in Indianapolis. And Indianapolis produced a top running back, even though it was this three-headed kind of workhorse or three-headed role.
It really was much more divided than people are giving the Colts backfield credit for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so that's what I'm projecting here for Miles Sanders. I do believe he'll get the vast share of the rushing workload. He'll have some catches out of the backfield as well because we know he can do that. He's struggled a little bit in camp with it, but I think he will get that lead dog role. And I think there is value there. I just don't know. I think the problem is we don't, as a fantasy industry, know exactly where to place that value quite yet. And so it's, in some cases, making Miles Sanders quite the value in drafts. But like you said, I'm not trying to chase him and go up and get him. But if he falls to me and he's like, there's no risk it, no biscuit for me when I'm taking him, like he's my RB4, throw him on, dude. Like, put him on my list. Like,
put him on the list.
Put him on my tab.
Speaking of chasing players, the Atlanta Falcons went out and chased tight end Kyle Pitts in the NFL draft this season, Johnny. The question now is, should you chase Kyle Pitts on your fantasy draft? Atlanta is going to be using Kyle Pitts all over the formations to try to find exploitable matchups. Reports are tight ends often struggle as rookies, but he has the makeup of being an impact player from week one. Johnny, we talked about this before the show, how there hasn't been a tight end with these types of measurables, height, speed, length, draft capital coming in, but there also hasn't been a rookie tight end to ever really make a legitimate impact. Do you think Kyle Pitts is a player that you should target, or you're fading on him at his current ADP?
The only reason I'm fading him is because of his ADP. That's it. I believe in the talent. I believe they're going to use him over the field. I believe that he will have a nice target market share for this team. But it's going to come down to two things, Austin. It's going to come down to touchdowns. He's got to get up there in touchdowns. We talked about, separating yourself from that tight end pack.
Yeah.
You either got to get 1,000 yards receiving, or you got to get touchdowns, over 10 touchdowns, or close to 10 touchdowns. It's rare you get both. If you do, you got a Kelsey or a Waller. So can he get there? There is a path. It's very slim. There's like the one, it's like in what is that the Marvel movie when he's like, hold time, Mr. Time?
When Doctor Strange. Yeah, there's
the one
47 million pathways,
one outcome is what gives you Kyle Pitts as returning better than what you're drafting. That's my problem. If there were more odds saying that, hey, where I'm getting, there's a better odds of me landing my value back, I would be more on it because I do think he's going to be awesome. I think, in a year or two, we are going to really have that conversation of like, okay, yeah, he's in the top 4. We've seen it. We know what they're going to do. But this year, without seeing it, you're paying up for that. And it's a story that a movie that we've seen plenty of times. And I don't necessarily like that movie.
No,
Austin, so
we say it on this show, reach for your guy. He's not my guy. I would be happy again if he fell to me like a Miles Sanders, but I'm not going to go up and reach for him. I think his ADP right now is at his ceiling. I'm excited to see what he's about though moving forward.
I'm going to be really bummed because I'm not going to get him in any leagues. And but I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for him as a fan, not as an analyst, because I don't want to be wrong.
Never do, but
there's that.
We'll see. Excited to see what he's about and to monitor his career moving forward. Going to some questions here, Whisper Nation shared in the chat. Sticking with the tight end position, Cassius Stylist asks, what's your guys' thoughts on Tunyon? That's Robert Tunyon, tight end out of Green Bay.
Bobby T.
He's my only real gap I feel on my team. I have a good amount of trade ammunition, so I could go after another tight end. I mean, I guess you could, but
do it.
Kind of like him.
I like him.
Yeah.
I do think Bobby T he's definitely one of those tight ends that is I did my projections. He was high on my projections.
Yeah.
You know me, I kind of second guess my projections sometimes when I'm like looking at him, I'm like, is this real? And I do believe, based on all the hype we've been hearing out of Green Bay, how they want to use him more, what we saw last year. Now, am I saying he's going to have the massive amount of touchdowns that he saw last year? I don't think so, but I think he'll have more yardage. So I think it'll somewhat balance out. And I do think that, yeah, he's one of those tight ends that he broke out later. People aren't exactly sure whether it was a one-hit wonder or not, but I believe based on how the the Green Bay Packers are right now and how they're built, he will be heavily involved. He will carve out a nice role, and I do like him a lot. He's one of my favorite later round tight ends to go for.
Yeah, I think the pathway to his role on the offense and being a vein is pretty strong given the lack of clarity behind Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Love Lazard, like Mari Rodgers, like Cobb, but nobody from a talent perspective is really going to be pushing and demanding targets out of Aaron Rodgers aside from Devontae Adams. Robert Tonyan showed that relationship with him. I think he just has a nice solid pathway. But if you could trade him up for like a Darren Waller, who's the main vein on his squad, even a George Kittle, sure. But
yeah, if you can swing something like that, then yeah, I would
sure.
go for it,
but if you're like just moving up a little bit, I don't even know if I would even do it for like, I mean, like Hawkinson, sure, maybe a little bit, but it's like Tunyan's good, dude.
Yeah,
like,
Tonyan is good. Yeah, with the Hawkinson, it would depend what you had to give up.
Yeah,
I could be intrigued by that, but again,
I'm taking Hawkinson over Tonyan, but
yeah, but it's like what else would you have to give up on top of that in order to get that deal done? And I don't know if I'd be willing to give up that much. I think it'll be okay.
And it doesn't take a lot to give. You don't have to give up much to give us a like and a subscribe. So if you're enjoying what you're hearing, I hope you consider giving us one of that and allow us to connect with more folks and have just these conversations with other fantasy football lovers out there. Cole Pierce, one of those fantasy football lovers that we just spoke about, asked, should I trade A.J. Brown and someone else for Hopkins since I have Kyler at quarterback?
Oh, so trying to get the double dip. Honestly, if you're trying to get
it's fun. Double dips are fun.
Double dips are fun, but I would not trade A.J. Brown for Hopkins because I think that I actually have A.J. Brown higher in my rankings at the end of the season for season-long rankings than Hopkins. But if you want that double dip, go out and try a cheaper piece to go out and try to get. I would go out and try to get Rondale Moore because he is going to be heavily involved, especially if it's a PPR league. I do think he gets an added boost. He's going to get like 8 to 10 targets a game. And it's going to be a lot around the line of scrimmage. They're going to let him work. And so I do think that there's a lot of value there. I also think that people laugh, but I do think A.J. Green is a free dart throw right now that you can get. And there seems to be a connection between Kyler and A.J. Green. He's free. So if he gets hurt, there's no problems with it because you just drop him.
Yeah, A.J. Green I'm getting some James Jones, wide receiver from the Packers a few years back vibes when he had all those touches, like 14 touchdowns.
I'm clipping that.
And he didn't have a phenomenal year from a deep metric, next-gen stats kind of evaluation, but he had a strong relationship with Aaron Rodgers. He was a downfield option who you could throw jump balls up to, and he just came down with the ball more times than he didn't, enough to earn the trust of both Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the team. A.J. Green is in that type of position where he's not going to be your lead dog. He's not going to be the guy who gets matched up with the defense's lead cornerback and just takes his lunch. No, he's going to be the guy who's matched up on some guy who's a second, third cornerback play from the defense. He's going to go down the field deep. Maybe Kyler Murray chucks it up and A.J. Green comes down with the rock for a 50-yard touchdown, and he does that a handful of times this season, and it's a really nice highlight reel at the end of the 2021 year.
I do think, and you're talking about A.J. Green as well on that single-year contract kind of prove-it deal, and I do think that he's going to have a really nice season, and he's, like I said, he's a piece that's absolutely free, and that's why I would go that route as opposed to trading A.J. Brown because I think it's a lateral move for –
I'd say it's a lateral move. Like I like Hopkins over AJ. You like AJ over Hopkins. We say go get your guy. Hopkins is amazing. We're in Arizona. We love that dynamic Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins had in year one. I think it's going to be solid in year two. Just don't give up too much. Like AJ Brown is super good, man.
Yeah.
Gus Ramos, really enjoyed your perspective. A lot of help. I think I shared that one, but it feels good, so I'll show it again. BGW, sticking with the trade question. Should I trade Waller, Julio, and Mixon for Travis Kelce and A.J. Brown? Looking to upgrade, and Mixon is on my bench already. Have CMC and James Robinson. I'd be starting Joe Mixon over James Robinson. And I have James Robinson too.
I would too. But it would be Joe Mixon. He said Waller?
Darren Waller and Julio Jones for Kelce.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
I don't
Don't
think
do that,
the
dude.
difference between Waller and Kelsey is that significant to where you'd want to give up. Don't get me wrong, I do love A.J. Brown, and I think he's going to be a beast this year, but I would not give that much up in order just to barely move up in a tight end position ranking. And then,
That's a very good running back, dude.
yeah, that's a really good one. You want your running, like, don't get running backs in fantasy football during the season. I don't know if we've probably said this before on the show, but like, we need to reiterate it probably more. Running backs are pure gold. Like, they are pure gold.
Any format, any position.
In
any format.
It doesn't
Any
matter
format.
if it is Joe Mixon. Like, and we know what the perception of Joe Mixon is right now. It does not matter. People will still chase that upside, even if he starts off slow. Sure, you might not get what you could potentially get right this very moment because no one's seen what he could do. But there is also the reality where Joe Mixon is very good, and then you just gave up a very good running back to barely get better at tight end and then upgrade your wide receiver position.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not going on this one because are we surprised if Darren Waller has more yards and more touchdowns than Travis Kelce does at the end of the year?
No.
Like, we're not blown away if that ends up happening.
And I also say too, like, just because you have a running back on your bench and you've got your player or your two running back, like, play matchups. That's what we're going to encourage when we do our Sunday shows. We're going to teach you about looking at matchups and how to determine which running backs you should play based on matchups, not just based on, they're this player and they should. Now, with that said, I'm never going to tell you to bench CMC because he's just matchup proof.
Right.
But, as far as, James Robinson versus Joe Mixon and which one you should play.
Take a look at the matchup. And again, to Johnny's point, having one bench player at the running back position, it's not going to be enough. This is a game of attrition. You're going to love having extra running backs. Everybody's already hurt. Most people miss time. Having a very good running back to fill in if one of your running backs, God forbid, gets hurt for an extended amount of time. Yeah, keep that depth. You're going to like it down the road.
Yep.
Gus asks, I can package something. Oh, this is made for Jonnu Smith. He has Jonnu Smith. Maybe get a tight end. I think that would be a smart consideration moving forward from an earlier trade question. I like Jonnu.
I do like Jonnu.
I think a lot of people like Jonnu too. I don't.
You could probably sell high on him.
You can sell high on him is where I'm getting at. And everyone's kind of forgot about Hunter Henry, like, because he's been hurt. He hasn't had a camp. If Hunter Henry comes in and plays where he could, Jonnu is going to go down a little bit. I like Jonnu. I do. I just think you could sell him high.
I do get that point. But I hope Hunter Henry's not watching this right now. But I would say, like, Hunter Henry is one of those guys that's always been like, you see the potential and it just lets you down every single time. It's like I'm trying to equate it to a movie, and like, the movie and you have that connection to like the first one or the second one, and then but like the rest of them are terrible, but you're still willing to see it, and you're like I know what I'm going to get myself into. But
I'm here anyway.
But I'm still gonna watch it. Like, that's what I feel Hunter Henry is like. He's a good player when he's on the field. But again, we've seen this story so many times, and it's like, I never like the outcome. So why am I gonna continue to go see that movie?
Because maybe.
Yeah,
I hear you. Calvin G. Brown wants to know, keep, trade, cut Miles Sanders, Chase Edmond, Ronald Jones, 10-team standard.
Wait, repeat those names again.
Keep, trade, cut between Miles Sanders, running back for Philadelphia, Chase Edmonds, running back for the Arizona Cardinals, or Ronald Jones, one of the running backs for Tampa Bay.
Oh man, this is a little difficult for me. I would say, in all honesty, I think I'm going to cut Ronald Jones probably.
Unless you can trade him.
And I don't. The reason being is that I'm not confident that he is going to get. I do know it's going to be split up backfield. It's going to be split up between Rojo, it's Uncle Lenny, and Gio. Gio is working with some kind of high ankle sprain. It's mild,
and he might not be fantasy relevant, but Gio is going to be fantasy impactful.
Exactly. Yeah. He's going to take snaps. He's going to take the receptions away, which Ronald Jones really couldn't give you receptions anyway. But I still do worry about. I know that Ronald Jones has looked pretty good in the preseason, but like, we saw Tampa Bay go with Ronald Jones to begin with, and then they flipped the script and went with Uncle Lenny, and like, they could run hot hands there. Whereas I'm more confident like Chase is going to be the lead running back in that offense, and even if he splits time, it's with only James Conner or Eno. Like, I don't think that there's going to be very much market share beyond usually Cliff Kingsbury only uses 2 running backs in his system.
Agreed. So between then Chase Edmonds and Miles Sanders, which one are you keeping? Which one are you trading?
I would probably trade Miles because I think he has a little bit like
You get more return.
Yeah, because people still aren't bought in on Chase. Like a lot of people are still skeptical.
Yeah.
Although I'm sold, but like I understand when people say I'm not sold on Chase because we've never truly seen it for a full season, all that. So the value you're going to get back is probably from Miles Sanders a little bit more than it is for Chase.
I agree with those points there.
Love all these questions.
I know these are great. Keep them
so
coming. Keep them coming. Rendon Dye asks, "Do you think I should get 2 solid running backs in the 2 quarterback league before I touch a wide receiver?" Depends.
Yeah, I don't like to predetermine. Like, I'm definitely going to take this guy over this guy. Like, I don't like going be water. We always say that, be water in your draft. Now, if a value comes up and that you weren't expecting, then sure, grab like the wide receiver over the quarterback. But don't just take a quarterback because you're like, oh, I need to start 2 quarterbacks. Like, I wouldn't take Baker Mayfield as a second quarterback over, if AJ Brown or even or even Terry McLaurin. Like if I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, I can either grab Terry McLaurin or maybe AJ Brown fell, or I'm gonna be getting Baker Mayfield. It's like I'm not gonna go way down in my rankings and tiers of quarterbacks because I feel like I have to get another one. I'm just gonna take that wide receiver there because I know he's gonna be elite. He's gonna be top 12.
Rendon, it's like you're looking for precious metal on the beach with a metal detector, and there's a bunch of other people, like 11 other league members, on the same beach with you as well. You're all out there looking for metal. You're looking for those jewels in the sand, and in certain parts of the sand, there's more gems out there. So most of your team is out there looking, but there's also another patch of sand over here that has less people looking, less presumed gems, but there's likely still some gems over there. So it's like if you think you have a better shot at finding gems where there's less of them, but also less people looking, great, go for it, because you can find somebody who's almost just as valuable there as in the other pool that has more traffic as a part of it. So I'm setting this one up saying running backs are harder to find down in your drafts. They're in the sand pit over here. They're harder to find, but you still can find them. There's the dead zone we talk about in running backs. In that place, we're talking about the Raheem Mosterts. We're talking about
Miles Sanders does fall in that.
I think he kind of should.
Yeah.
Chase Edmonds kind of falls in that. And the dead zone doesn't mean everybody's dead. It means a lot of these guys, though, are just not going to be who you're hoping they're going to be. But running backs in the earlier rounds, unless something wild happens, we know what they're about, at least. With that said, the wide receivers generally in that dead zone area of running backs are still usually really solid.
So good.
You're getting a lot of talented younger guys with great roles on the team that really could break out. So do I think you should get 2 solid running backs in the 2 quarterback league before I touch a wide receiver? Not necessarily, but I'm going to prioritize running backs a little bit. But that's like, but would I rather take a DeAndre Swift over a Devontae Adams? No, I want Devontae Adams in that kind of position. So it's not running back number 1 guaranteed, but I'm looking there at least first.
And also we like to say too is like play to your strengths, right? Like if you know that and like wide receivers are easier to stream than a running back position. So that's why we generally say, like load up on more running backs. Running backs are also more valuable. However, if you're like, I'm really great at finding running backs later, picking out those dead zone running backs, I'm really good. I've hit on those last 3 years, because we talk about that. Jonathan Taylor and Dave Montgomery were both in that dead zone last year.
Yeah.
And both of those guys were on many championship teams.
Yep.
So if you feel like you're good at picking out who those guys are, but you're not so good about streaming wide receivers from week to week or picking up wide receivers on the waiver, then play to your strengths because that's where you're going to go further as long as you're doing what you are comfortable with.
Great breakdown there. SBB asks Mike Davis or Damien Harris. We've been talking about Mike Davis so much, Johnny.
I know, dude. This is a PPR league. That does make a little bit of difference. Listen,
it's Harris though, right?
It's Harris. It's Harris for me. I'm a full aboard the Harris bandwagon. I think he's going to have a monster season. There was a stat that I'm not sure if I put it in the show notes or not, but you look at last year, Cam Newton, 22 carries within the 5-yard line.
Damn.
Patriots. 22.
Yeah.
Damien, everyone wants to talk. Damien only had 2 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. So what's the upside there with Damien? Damien Harris last year had 3 rushing attempts within the 5. He converted 2 of them. Give me that all day, baby. All day, I'm telling you, Harris is going to be.
Sony Michel is gone. Cam Newton is gone. It still is Bill Belichick, but they're going to run the rock a lot. Mac Jones is going to love having a solid run game behind him. And Mike Davis, he's slotted in a good position to start the year. But watch, week 3, you're like, who's this running back? Why isn't Mike Davis in? Like, it's easy come, easy go.
Why is Wayne Gallman in there instead
This
of...
makes no sense.
Which,
And
by the way, I do want to...
it's going to happen.
Can we pour one out or just say a moment of silence for my boy, Quadri Olison?
Why you
Getting cut, dude. That was heart-wrenching, dude. I almost broke down in tears. That was my boy.
I know.
My boy Blue.
There's no real backup now behind Mike Davis, which is there, but like they'll find somebody. There's a lot of people who are working their butts off right now to get a shot in the NFL, and they're going to push Mike Davis at some point or another. Yeah. I promise you that. Cole Pierce wants to know, should he start Juju versus Buffalo or Darrell Henderson versus Chicago for flex?
Get back with us next Sunday.
Yeah,
matchup show.
Tune into the matchup show and give us a listen and make this question come back, because it's going to depend on the health that we see. It's going to depend on a couple of factors that I can give you an answer right now, but I would rather hold it back. The information that we have right now isn't strong enough. Come back on the Sunday morning show, 9:00.
Sorry, I'm getting my Eastern, and I'm trying to think through my
9
Eastern
Pacific. Game kickoffs at 10
It's
a.m.
an hour and a half before kickoff. So 8:30 Pacific time, 10:30,
11:30 Eastern.
11:30 Eastern. Thank you. I'm always terrible with those time.
Cole wants to know, do I start the Steelers defense versus Buffalo or the Panthers D versus the New York Jets? Steelers D is going to have a higher pedigree, but the Buffalo offense is better than the New York Jets, led by rookie quarterback Zach Wilson. You got a strong take?
I'm probably rolling with the Steelers defense here, just because I don't want to get too cute week 1 on defensive matchups, and I do think Carolina's defense will be improved, but it's not great. And like we were talking about Zach Wilson earlier and how good he's looked in the preseason. I understand it's preseason, but he could light up.
I just don't see Zach Wilson coming in with a horrible game. I think you're hoping for a rookie crash.
Yeah, you're
debut
hoping for
3 interception. Yeah, and it's Zach Wilson's just looked really good. I'm not surprised if it happens because it's a rookie, but I am surprised if it's Zach Wilson. I like what you said. Also, don't get too cute week 1.
Also, why I don't like to take defenses early, because now you're faced with that dilemma, and you're like, how do I not play the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that I drafted high, right? Because they're supposed to be a good defense, and now I don't know if I could do that.
Speaking of that defensive question, Johnny, the Rams,
a
highly touted defense coming in both from NFL and fantasy perspectives, has the 3rd most favorable pass defense schedule in 2021. And in his 4 years as the Rams head coach, Sean McVay's offenses have ranked in the top 10 in passing yards 3 times, the top 8 in passing touchdowns twice, and 3rd in pass attempts once. So the Rams are a treasure chest for fantasy all over the board. Defense, offense.
And this is one of those things that we talked about early in the offseason, right? We talked about, I don't know what the upside to Matthew Stafford is, because we know that defense is good. If Sean McVay gets up in games, are they going to lean more on the run and require less from Matthew Stafford? However, what this is showing too, why I like this stat, is that Sean McVay loves to just run up the score. Like, he loves scoring the ball like that. He loves running that offense, and he wants to score every time. And it doesn't matter what their defense does. He still wants to put up more and more points. So I don't think, and because we do talk about that sometimes, the defense, if it's a good defense, it kind of hinders the offense, because once they get up, they want to sit on the ball, run out the clock. And I don't think that's with Sean McVay's offense. Clearly, I think we are also a little bit low on Matthew Stafford in general. I think everyone is. I think Matthew Stafford is in for a really big season.
We talked about the Rams. Former tight end for the Rams, Gerald Everett, is now with the Seattle Seahawks and is already becoming a favorite target for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, talking about Bobby T and like some of those later round tight end dart throws that we like, the Jonus. I do think that Everett is one of those guys that I'm getting on a lot more rosters, because you can get him so late, and we have seen Russell Wilson use his tight end before. Remember, we had Big Sexy over there for a while. That was like
Will Dissly.
That was taken the fantasy by storm.
He's still there.
Jimmy Graham,
Yep.
when he went there for that 1 year, had a pretty solid year as a tight end.
A lot of touchdowns.
Yes. So we do know that they do like to use it, or Russell does like relying on the tight end, and I think it's going to help open up the field, which is also another reason why I'm a little lower on Lockett than everybody else, but that's for another time.
Another bit of conversations, which you can make sure you are a part of if you like and subscribe here to our main channel on YouTube, as well as give us a follow on Twitter, Discord, and Instagram. Our last bit of news here before we jump into the questions, we'll be here making sure we get to all of them. So if you have any questions on who you should be drafting, trading, overall thoughts on a specific narrative or position, let us know. We'll get to them. Last bit of news here, Johnny. Jalen Hurts knows nobody else got any reps with the one. So could you really argue that we named our starter a while ago? Is the reports out there? Jalen's our starter, they're saying. I consistently saw a player that got better every single day. He did exactly what we wanted him to do. They're saying out of the Eagles front office. Jalen Hurts, we love what he could bring. We saw it at the end of last year. Small sample size, but it looked phenomenal. Reports are strong. We like Jalen Hurts.
Love Jalen Hurts. The smoke screen and the coaches speak worked, apparently.
Yeah.
Because this is what they literally drug him through the damn mud all off season. I had to defend him. Was
the Philly sludge.
Yeah. And stuck by him. And here it is. Here we are. Jalen Hurts, named the starter. You should be confident in Jalen Hurts. I think that he is going to be surprising a lot of people that don't believe in him. And I think he could be an early difference maker for fantasy football.
Agreed with that one. I think his ADP is still low.
Yeah.
Going to get to some of our questions now, Whisper Nation. If you got them, throw them our way. Blue Crew asks, half-point PPR, 12-team Superflex. I need to trade Chris Carson for a quarterback of equal fantasy value. Any thoughts for who? I have the option to start 2 quarterbacks. My other quarterback is Tom Brady. Yeah, if you can't start 2 quarterbacks, start a second quarterback.
Yeah.
If you
Tom Brady's a good start for your first quarterback.
Yeah. I picked him up in the TFW Listener League. Excited about that one. Mm-hmm. And Chris Carson, you're looking to get rid of him. An equal value. This is kind of a tough question. So I guess we could say who would be kind of an equivalent value. If you're making a trade, you'd obviously love to be the winner of that trade and pull someone of unequal value, advantageous in your favor. But do you have anybody who comes to mind of who'd be kind of like in a 2 quarterback split, somebody who's like kind of on that same level?
I mean, again, it's I can't really say names because I get
Tua or Chris Carson.
Oh wait,
and 2 quarterback is your second. I guess who's your other wide receiver or your other running backs too?
And this is again what I like referring to what we were talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah,
go to a team that needs a running back and try to find it that way because I just think that it's going to be very difficult to try to get because where you're getting Chris Carson, you're taking Kyler, you're taking Lamar Jackson, you're taking Justin Herbert sometimes. But do I think that you're going to be able to go to that person and say, "Hey, I'll give you Chris Carson for one of those players"? And
they got to need it. You can't go to somebody and say, "I got $1 of this currency, give me an equal dollar in a foreign currency of this." If they're like, "No, I live in this country. I need this kind of currency." Johnny, you just enlightened me, and I am never going to try to give a cross-positional comparison in a trade conversation. Like we could just for the content, but for your own decision making, Johnny's totally right. It makes no benefit to say here's an equal player at a different position. Chris Carson is equivalent to so-and-so quarterback because it doesn't help you. But you can get inflated value by going to find a squad that's super desperate at running back, and maybe they're a little inflated at quarterback. Yeah. Maybe they got 3 good ones. So in their head, they're like, yo, I don't need one of these quarterbacks. They haven't fully acknowledged it's a game of attrition. And they're like, I'd rather clean up some of my depth and fill in my starting roster. Chris Carson, he's a starter. I like what he's looking like in 2021. That's how you attack this. You put in the work. You go to all of your other league managers' teams. You find who needs a running back. You find also then which one of those running back needy squads is overflowing at quarterback as much as one could. And you try to work
whichever one you like the most out of those ones, right? On those 3, let's say there are 3 teams like that. and one has Tua, the other one has Hurts, and the third one has I don't know, Baker Mayfield. And then you can go, oh, well, I like Hurts the most out of all three of those. That also has a deficit there. And then you can also potentially get another player thrown in because you're giving a running back for a later quarterback. Sometimes that works. I don't know. It's very there's not one solid answer.
Let us know, Blue Crew, about specific. Do this homework. Go look at the other squads. Come back to us with possible trade scenarios or pathways you're interested in, and we'll talk about those.
Yeah, DM us or join the Discord, and we'll definitely love to help you out.
Mr. Miyagi asks, is Johnny a Twilight guy? In so many ways. Now we're just in Flagstaff, Arizona, but we do sometimes glitter. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Great show. Big shout out. Thanks a lot, Blue Crew, for joining. Really, seriously, though. Our boy Gus Bus, Darius Rice asking, this is Gus Ramos, but Darius Rice asking, start 2, Gus, Gaskin, Jamal, PPR. This means Jamal Williams, running back for the Lions, Myles Gaskins, running back for Miami, and Gus Edwards. You're starting Gus Edwards.
Gus and Gaskin.
That's what I'm going with as well. I don't think Jamal is.
Gaskin's going to get a lot of pass catching out of that.
Dude, you said this the whole time. Like, I don't like Gaskin outside of a PPR format, but in this situation, it's Gaskin and Jamal have similar situations, except Gaskin has so much more opportunity.
Yeah, and upside, I think.
There's no better running back ahead of Gaskin as there is for Jamal.
Yep, 100%. That you nailed it.
Start 2. Okay, so I think this was the same one we just answered. There we go. Gart Brez asks, what do you think about the situation with the fall off after the Elite 3 tight ends? I mean, it's the same thing as it always is, right? There's some mid-level ones who could jump into that top 3 category for next year. TJ Hawkinson comes to mind. We've been saying Mark Andrews is supposed to be that for a little while.
Lamar can get better at getting the ball to him. He could be, but again, you talk about like dead zones for tight ends. That's kind of where that dead zone is now. I would say if I have to bet on any of those dead zone tight ends getting to that next level, it's TJ Hawkinson. That's usually the guy, the only tight end that I'm really kind of trading up in those middle rounds to like kind of get or like eyeing in those middle rounds is TJ, just because I'm so certain at what the market share is going to be for him. He's going to be the number 1 there for Detroit. And they just let go of Rashad Perriman, like their number 1 wide receiver. So who knows what they're doing over there? They're just going to throw it every single time to TJ. But if I'm not getting, and they even separate, like if I'm not getting Waller or Kelsey, and then maybe potentially TJ, like I'm waiting until the end. Like I'm going to go for the Gerald Everetts. I'm going to go for, the Tyler Higbees. I'm going to go for the Jonnu Smiths. Like those are the guys that I'm going to go, the Bobby T's. I'm going to take my dart throws on 2 of those guys and hope one hits. And then if they don't, then I just drop them and pick up another waiver wire guy. Yeah,
it's the same as it always is. There are streamable tight ends on your waiver wire every single week. Try to find the one you think has the best shot about getting a touchdown against their opposing defense that year.
And there are a lot, like you'll be surprised. There are a lot of stats in teams that'll be like, I mean, I know this because the Cardinals were that for many years. It was like, anytime you play the Cardinals, you start the opposing team's tight end. Like, I don't care who it is. If it's like Uncle Joe down the street just got signed this past week, you're starting them as long as he's a tight end against the Cardinals. So, yeah.
They're going to game plan for that hole in the defense, and that hole in the defense exists because it's a real hole.
Yeah.
Prepare to get exploited. Rendon Dye says Gaskin is my this year sleeper. I could see it happening. I just hope you don't pay a premium price for that. And if he's already on your team, I hope you're right.
I do like Gaskin.
I know you do.
I do.
I just think there's easy come, easy go. It's another undrafted.
Very true. Very true.
They owe him nothing. He would need to perform. Salvin Ahmed can perform. Other dudes could show up.
Yeah, I do think though that it's a trend that's going to continue where we're going to start seeing running backs go later and later and later because they realize this. Teams do.
Yeah. Strother Knight says, who would you target with the 9th pick? 12-team full point PPR. Christian McCaffrey, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just who is available, right?
Yeah.
Stack up your roster, stack up your rankings, and then you're not freaking out if you get sniped because you just have 9 guys ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that you could talk about there. Jonathan Taylor usually falls there. I mean, Nick Chubb in a PPR league, or is this half PPR? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Full PPR.
Full PPR. So Nick Chubb will generally fall in that area. And I don't care that it's a PPR league. Give me Nick Chubb. Like, he's going to catch more passes than you think. And that line is the best in football.
And they have the easiest schedule.
Yes.
And he might be the best running back in the NFL.
So, yeah, I'm all about getting Chubb. I've taken him in multiple PPR leagues this year already, and I don't care. Like, I'm excited about him. So, like, look like, Austin Eckler and PPR is another guy that's falling way down. Gibson is another guy that if you believe in that hype and he could.
If Aaron Jones is available, he's somebody to target maybe.
There's a lot of depth right there at that.
But what you do here is you stack out your 1 through 9. You know who you would take at 9 if your ideal 1 through 8 were selected. And it's unlikely that ideal from your analysis is going to go that order. Everybody's got their own brain inside their own head. So then that's the way you determine where that value falls. And I can't even stress this enough, dude. Like Strother Knight, I just got goosebumps from this on myself.
It happened, dude. It's real.
It's on there.
It's not the cold weather here in Flagstaff.
Because I've done this so many times. I go into a draft being like, oh, I've done 500 mock drafts. We run this show. We do all this stuff. I'm going to find the sleeper. And then I'm on the clock and I'm like, oh my God, which guy is it? And I just didn't do that 5 freaking minutes ahead of time of just stacking out like the first 2 rounds, like do 24 people how you would take it and be like, no, if I'm really in a hard press situation between Austin Eckler and Saquon Barkley in a full point PPR, who do I take? Like do that thinking ahead of time, rank them all the way out. And then when your pick on the clock comes, you can see if anyone fell.
Hey, well, yeah, but then stick with your gut. That's something I found too. Stick with your gut, because if you second guess your gut, you're going to second guess usually wrong, and then you're going to be very upset about it.
But figure out your gut before the draft actually starts. Like do the work, put it down. It's like Tiger.
Trust in it.
It's like Tiger Woods would say, I always trust my read. I spend all the time in the world to make the read. But once I've made my read, I trust my read.
Yeah.
Put the ball.
Yeah.
All right. Moving forward here. A few more questions. If you got them, throw them our way. All That New York. Hope you're staying dry out there, man. Hi, guys. Would you trade for Kyler Murray and Kyle Pitts, G. Davis, and give away Ryan Fitzpatrick, Keenan Allen, James Robinson, Tyler Higbee? 2 quarterback league, half-point PPR. I've got Hopkins on my team.
So he's trying to get Kyle Pitts and Kyler Murray, and he's giving up
and G. Davis.
And Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
For Tannehill. Who is the second?
No Tannehill. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Keenan Allen, James Robinson, Tyler Higbee.
I would do this.
So you pick up Kyle Pitts and Kyler Murray and Gabe Davis, and you'd give away Ryan Fitzpatrick, Keenan Allen, James Robinson, Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, because the best player you're giving up is
Keenan Allen.
Maybe
James Robinson. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you're getting a major upgrade at Kyler Murray. You're getting that double dip. I do think that, like we've talked about, Kyle Pitts is one of those, like, there is an outcome where he does finish higher than I'm a big Higbee fan, but I do think that they'll probably be similar in production than at the end of the year, and we think. And I think that I would do this deal.
I mean, from the easy way of you're getting the best player in Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And if I don't know what format this league is, if it's Dynasty, for sure. Like for sure in Dynasty. In redraft, I think I lean with Johnny. It's close. I do like James Robinson. I do like Keenan Allen. And Fitzpatrick is a sneaky second quarterback. I would like to know who your other first quarterback would be, because Fitz, I think, would be a fine number 2, especially as he's gotten the role and they've come out and said that. But I need to know a little bit more about your dynamic. But generally speaking, I think I probably would, just because you get some 12-team redraft.
Yeah, I think I would do this. I think. I like it.
Yeah, maybe you can. Yeah.
I mean, don't pigeonhole yourself, though. If you only have like one other running back or 2 other running backs, I don't know if I would.
So he comes in. My team is Big Ben. So he's got Big Ben and Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's looking to upgrade that to Kyler Murray.
Oh, yeah.
His wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Meyer. Running backs are Alvin Kamara, Miles Sanders, Damien Harris.
Oh, yeah. Dude, make this deal.
Yeah, I do like this one.
Yeah,
I do like this one. I think your ceiling goes up at quarterback. Your
a lot.
ceiling doesn't come down at running back. Your ceiling doesn't come down really at wide receiver. Like I would like to have Keenan Allen, but like with Ayuk and T Higgins, I'm okay because your best wide receiver is still on your squad.
Yeah, and then tight end,
It's
one could argue that you're upgrading at tight end. I don't know.
This is one of the better trade requests
Yeah,
we've gotten. I
that
think
was a
your
good one.
opponent actually might be getting more value. I think your opponent might be getting more pieces of startable, explosive possibilities, but you do get the better players.
And something that isn't talked about on trades, you're trading more players away than you're getting. So now you get to go to the waiver wire and pick up 2 additional players. So
That's a real valuable piece.
Yeah, it's such a valuable piece that people don't look at.
They don't. They think that I have an empty roster spot now. Good.
Yeah.
There's a dart throw on your waiver.
Yeah.
There's a defense for next week that no one's picking up because they don't have an available roster spot. And that defense is mid plus and playing the worst offense in the NFL.
100%.
Like,
yep.
Yeah. Great point on that. Empty roster spots are good to have if you can pick those up in trades. What are your strategies? Rendon Dye asks to bring. What are your strategies to bring to the draft for an offline draft? Should I bring a paper of rankings or put them in an Excel? So how do we draft in person?
Oh, okay. Great question.
Great question.
So
I love
obviously,
this.
We do this other than last year because of COVID. Thanks, COVID. But we do this every year in our league. We draft in person. It's not online. And I can just tell you what I do have a sheet that I have like all my, major picks. I star players that I really like or where I'm eyeing, where I think they'll go. I do have my computer because I want to know all the latest information that up to date when I'm on the clock and make sure that, there's no, Dobbins just went down and, I'm on the clock and I have a chance to get Gus and I didn't see that news. So I didn't, I always like to have my computer there. And then usually I'll have my iPad just up I don't know. I'm a big tech guy. So I like a lot of tech around me. I like the access. I don't always just use it. So I definitely use paper and pencil.
Rendon, this is going to be a personal situation, but I want to give you a couple of options that have worked for me. Johnny gave you a couple of options that have worked for him. I take a lot of notes in a lot of different formats because I'm thinking about this all the time. I have notes in my phone when I've heard a piece, and if I'm not by my computer, I put those in my notes section there. I have a hand notebook that I also take notes in because my preference is to write things by hand whenever I can, but I just don't always have that on me. I take all this information and I factor it into my Excel spreadsheet, and I try to make that my one go-to source. So I have my spreadsheet at the draft because it's easy to move. Like I can't move handwritten notes and I end up crossing out so many things, it becomes illegible. So I take all those notes from all the different places I've been storing them, getting up to this point. I then put those in a spreadsheet and then I kind of start just living in that spreadsheet. And I start moving those guys around. I make sure I have that spreadsheet at my draft. But then as Johnny said, I'm always with another device because we've had literally, dude, every single draft that we've done. And we do our draft Labor Day weekend every year because it's less than a week until the regular season, which gives us the most clarity, the most up-to-date injury news, all that stuff. We're not looking for surprises when we have our draft. Even with that timeline, every single year, I swear to goodness, for the last 4 years, somebody has had a player go down mid-draft. Like it was like Brett Szabo picked up in the 3rd round. Who was that running back?
Dude, he picked up
Jarek McKinnon.
It was Tevin Coleman. And then Tevin Coleman went down. Or no, it was Jarek McKinnon.
When he was the starting running back for
the
49ers and he tore his ACL. Like we were like in round, he drafted him round 3, round 12. He tore his ACL. We're like, what, dude?
And then, it was a race to, it was whoever was on the board got him,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Always have like some kind of technology where you can get the latest news information. But yeah, I like what Austin was saying too. You can also get the draft kit. I have the draft kit up as well. There's a lot of valuable information that I love to look through right before I'm making picks, consistency charts, things like that. What are rankings? What do I have them at?
Dude, and I'm skipping over because when I'm talking of the notes and the information I use to factor into my own spreadsheet, the draft kit is right there. You can pick that one up still for $15, and it's going to give you everything that you need. That is a bit of a plug, obviously, for our brand and our stuff, but it's legit. Like you pick up this draft kit, you're going to have the things that you need, and then you can make edits and move that around how you would like to there. But that will simplify your process. It'll give you legs up. It'll have insights already prepared for you. I mean, like literally hundreds of hours of digging deep, and then Johnny acknowledges those people in those. So to pick up the draft kit, that's an easy way. But otherwise, you got some good strategies here. Darius Rice says Brian Edwards is my sleeper. He's been impressive in camp. Talk to Johnny about that.
Another one of my boys. Luckily, he didn't get cut. But the season's not over, so you never know. Fingers crossed.
All that New York comes back. How you guys think stacking Kyler Murray and Hopkins for stealing? I mean, I don't give a crap about the advantage a double dip gives you. It's all for fun for me, but it's really fun.
I think psychologically there is nothing like, I mean, yeah, like I don't know that there's necessarily an exact like, well, people who have a double or a stack, win, 60% more. Like, I don't think there's anything like that. But I will say that if you are playing somebody and having that moral, just like, because part of this game is getting into the head of your opponent, and them seeing that, it causes them to do other moves that they might not otherwise do, especially if it's a great matchup. Like if it's a great matchup for, like, I don't know, the Cardinals playing Atlanta, and it's like, oh, okay, well, Atlanta has a terrible defense, and so Kyler's going off, and you're like, well, there's a good chance that Hopkins either gets 1 or 2 touchdowns. The opponent is going to change their lineup due to that, and so I do think that there is a very big psychological. Also, when you're in the game, nothing gets your opponent more down than just being like, oh, I was like just within 3 points. Now all of a sudden I'm down by 20 because it was a 50-yard double dip.
Yep.
Like, it is demoralizing.
So the double dip, to me, it's super fun, and this is one of the best ones in the game. Yeah. But it's great without the double dip because Kyler Murray is one of the best quarterbacks coming into the 2021 season, and DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best wide receivers coming into the 2021 season. So how do I like it? I like it from like literally any perspective you could take. I love it.
I love it.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you all that
Appreciate
New York.
You guys.
Thank you here to everybody in Whisper Nation. Darius with another question here. Running back Mostert, Jamal Williams.
Okay.
Myles Gaskin, Gus, and Trey Sermon. Wide receivers Tariq, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, Devontae, and Will.
Did our screen go down? Our camera go off? I don't know. Are we here? Can you hear us?
Can you still hear us? Let us know in the comments if you can still hear us.
I don't know what's happening. Or is our internet going down? Should be good. Well, if you guys can hear us. Oh yeah, it's saying something went wrong. Let me look up in this one. Oh, I think we're still here. All right, so we're still here. Sorry, we have tech stuff going on, glitching. Okay, so we got Mostert, Jamal, Gaskins, Gus, and Sermon. Wide receivers Reek, Kupp, Coop. Which would you trade to upgrade running back in PPR? I would try to trade. Probably. Okay. I would probably try to trade Mostert. Well, you have Sermon though. Yeah, if you can get rid of Jamal and like maybe one of your wide receivers, all that network. Hopefully, can you hear? Oh, it might not be able to hear yours. Got it. Okay, so I would go with trying to trade Jamal, and I would potentially go with whoever has Aaron Jones. I would go to that person, and then
Will Fuller, right? Yeah. I would go Will Fuller and Jamal Williams are your least desirable positional players right here. If you can use those to trade for a running back, I would do that. Devontae Smith, I like him long term, but rookie wide receivers in precarious offenses, I'm not in love with it. It would really just depend on who you could get. Like I would trade any one of these wide receivers, Tariq, Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, if you could get a running back that was worth it in that situation. So it would really just depend on, again, in these trade situations, go find a team that has a lot of running backs or is super thirsty at wide receiver and see who you can make a deal with from their need, not from a clean comparison evaluation. But I would say Fuller and Jamal Williams are your least valuable of those two. So I would start with those and see if you can get a snag.
And I'll be honest, I don't even know if you need to make a move, though, to be honest with you. Like, I think you're okay with having that kind of stack at running backs between Sermon, Gus, and Gaskin. You'll be able, we'll be able to definitely get you through the season. So, all right. I think that does it. All right. We made it through.
All right, we made it through, guys. I have Pat Mahomes. So I don't want to trade Tyreek, but the others can go. Yeah, they can all go. Everybody's on the table. And that Tyreek, Patrick Mahomes stack is just fun.
It's so nice.
It's just so fun. So there we are.
All right, Whisper Nation, that does it for today's show. Remember, we are off on Monday. We won't have a Monday show this Monday, but we will be back on Tuesday for a week 1 preview waiver wire show. So make sure you're tuned into that. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Greatly appreciate it. Love you, Whisper Nation. Thank you for joining us. Take it easy. Good luck.
Happy Labor Day. Have a great draft. Happy NFL. I'm Austin Sear. That's Johnny Game Time Hicks. We're out.
Peace.
Oh, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. I can click this.
Right here.
Oh, hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you like what you saw and you want to learn how to dominate your own draft and win your own league, head on over to thefantasywhisperers.com and grab your copy of the Fantasy Whisperers Draft Kit today. Or click the link in the description below. And if you're still not sold, check out one of these videos.